Hi, my name is Archana and I am the curriculum coordinator for the elementary school at the Aga Khan Academy, Hyderabad. I'm currently residing in Mumbai. This presentation is basically an analysis of the mentoring demonstration video, which is a part of this week's resources. The mentor's name is Sue Tees, and she's the mentor team facilitator at Norris Elementary School. First of all, let's look at how the mentor supported the new teacher's development. Since the mentor knew the teacher for 3 years and she was mentoring her for 3 years, I think it was a sustainable relationship. And because it was happening over such a long period of time, I think the mentor knew exactly what kind of a person the teacher was and what was her personality like, and accordingly she could mold her own coaching style and focus on different areas of teacher development. So that is classroom management, assessment, strategies, and instruction. So you always asked for clarification during the conferences, and that helped. I'm sure that helped the teacher develop herself. And she always focused on the plan. She kept asking for. She kept checking if the teacher knew what exactly she was about to do in her classroom, and that helped the teacher be planned for her lesson. And last but not the least, the mentor herself was reflective on her own practices. We saw that she kept saying that I should have done this, I should have done that, I shouldn't have done this, I could have done this. So that showed that Sue tried to help herself in order to improve the teacher. What was the evidence that the mentor and teacher were responsive to each other? I think in the video it was evident that the mentor and the teacher had a very good relationship with each other, and since they had many conferences, they had a pre-conference, they had a post-conference, they also had casual discussions in between the conferences. I think it helped them build a relationship of trust and confidentiality, and the teacher felt comfortable in talking about her doubts, her anticipations, and Sue also tried to paraphrase whatever the teacher would try to say, because sometimes the new teachers especially find it difficult to articulate themselves, but because maybe they don't have sufficient vocabulary, they do not know what certain things are called, and experienced teachers are more aware of these things, and it helps them paraphrase whatever the teacher is trying to say. And I noticed that in the video that the focus was always on the teacher, because here the teacher is the learner, and we know from Knowles' work that adults learn through self-reflection. They have a higher degree of self-concept, and I think Sue kept that in mind, and hence the focus was on the teacher rather than on herself. And she always asked a lot of open-ended questions like, how are you feeling, how do you think the class went, so that the teacher had more room to express herself. I think all these things helped the teacher and the mentor become more responsive to each other. What were some of the effective ways in which the mentor worked with a new teacher? I think she used a lot of good strategies. For example, she asked the question, what do you want me to do this time? So rather than saying that let's focus on this now, I think it's time for you to learn this now, she instead asked, what do you want me to do this time? So that the teacher herself tells the mentor what exactly she needs help with. And Sue always took notes, just like a good teacher takes notes of whatever happens in the classroom. Sue took notes of whatever they were talking about. A, that is very good evidence of whatever's happening, and B, I think it helps in later referring to whatever they had discussed. And Sue kept paraphrasing whatever the teacher said. She posed a lot of problems. Have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? What if the students do this? What will they do with the geo boards? So she helped the teacher think of what problems might occur so that she is better prepared for the lesson. And she was a very good listener. We noticed that whenever the teacher was speaking, Sue would quietly listen, and she kept thinking of how she would respond to whatever the teacher was saying. She also shared the notes, so that shows a lot of transparency between Sue and the teacher, and the teacher exactly knew how the lesson had gone, what are the things Sue had observed in the lesson. And the best thing I thought was the entire approach was inquiry based, as in Sue helped the teacher derive at the conclusions rather than giving away all the answers. We all know that the eventual goal of mentoring is student progress, and how the mentors can do this is by maybe analyzing some student work during conferences. They can look at maybe some assessment samples so that the focus is student progress, and the mentor can help the teacher guess how the students might respond to a lesson. And the main goal, which are the standards or the written curriculum in my case, should always be the point of reference so that the teacher doesn't get carried away. Because we know when new teachers learn a lot of strategies, they try to implement a lot of new things, they sort of get deviated from what they're trying to do. So it's important to keep going back to what our main objective is. And the mentors also can suggest a lot of strategies, like Sue suggested using the KWL chart or the vocabulary cards. And because the mentoring program kind of bridges the gap between the educational degree of the new teacher and what she's experiencing in the classroom, like we read in one of the resources. And it's important that the mentor helps the teacher build a repertoire of strategies so that it becomes easier for the teacher to carry on with the lesson. And differentiated instruction is something that should always be the focus, because it's not a very easy thing to do, and it's important the mentor becomes a guide for the teacher, and she explains to her maybe even the context of the school and what are the students like and what families they come from, maybe, so that learning is more individualized. New teachers always struggle with classroom management, and it's important that mentors help the teachers cope with this issue and maybe suggest some strategies for that as well. And eventually keeping organized is really important, and especially with different sorts of resources, so it's important that the mentor helps the teacher with that as well. Any changes? Well, mentoring itself is a new concept for me, and in my own school we have just started implementing it, so there was nothing that from my end I could think of. But Sue herself said that instead of giving away the observation notes right at the beginning of the post-conference, she should have waited. She should have asked the teacher to come up with her own reflections of the lesson and then share the notes with her. And these are the references. Thank you.